Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to the original crew of the Rational League. This is actually how the Rational League started. Tom Little, Rory, and Nobbins. This is how it started. Couple of games to talk about. Liverpool smashing Arsenal, spanking Arsenal, to be honest with you, in a pre-season. And Manchester City haven't won a game in pre-season, guys. And Pep Guardiola said there is no signings after Savio, unless someone leaves the club. We'll talk about that as well. And Arsenal are strengthening the team. Mikel Merino, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid already pulled out of the race. It's already reported that they are not in for him. The deal is about to happen. We know that the here we go is coming in the next 2-3 days. And then Arsenal will turn their attention to a forward. Does that make Arsenal favorites for the league? And where do they stand in the Champions League? Liverpool under Arne's spot, can they actually win the league? Because this guy showed us something in the game against Arsenal. If FSG back this guy, can this guy actually challenge and win the league? And where do Man City stand in the ranking, in the favorites table for the Premier League? 2 weeks for the Premier League to start, actually less than 2 weeks if I'm not mistaken, about like 12 days, and the Premier League will start. And Liverpool haven't made a signing yet, and they are waiting for Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz to come back to decide. So if you're watching this now live, hit that like button because it helps the channel, it helps the algorithms, it helps us move to new audiences. If you're new, of course, make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell. And if you're watching this on the replay, hit that like button, people, because we need to get to 500, 600 likes on this show if you're watching this on the replay. How is everyone doing? Emil Smith Rowe just been announced. Rory was making a TikTok. If you haven't checked Rory Talks Football TikTok, you have to go check it out. He has multiple accounts. Just type Rory on TikTok. It will come up. There's Arsenal talk. There's football talk. There's a lot of Rory on Twitter, on YouTube, of course, on TikTok, of course. Nobbins have made a video about Savio, and if you haven't checked that out, you're missing out on a video of a tactical analysis of how Savio plays football, how Savio will win another treble for Manchester City. The tactical analysis. And Tom, of course, you can find him here. You can find him on the Football Terrace. You can find him on HUSAM channel, of course. How is everybody doing? How's everyone doing today? That's a long intro. I've been speaking for 3 minutes.
Very good.
I watched my new manager come in school the second best team in England whilst playing two attacking midfielders at DM. So I'm loving life at the minute. Everything's going swimmingly.
I've just eaten a chicken burrito, so I'm happy also.
I didn't know he hadn't won a preseason game, by the way. That's mad.
Yeah. I'm just in mourning.
Yeah. It's the afternoon, Rory, not the morning.
Because of Smith Rowe.
Yeah. It's just sad,
really?
isn't it? Yeah.
Why it's sad? I'm happy for the guy.
Well, I'm happy for him, but it's just, I don't know, the little montage that Arsenal put out. He's been here since he was like 6 years old, and it's just a bit sad that it never worked out, really.
Yeah.
And like
Emerson
the current
is, to be honest, yeah, go ahead.
The current
Arsenal about Smith Rowe that could have been, that should have been. That's Emerson Smith Rowe for me.
That's the thing. Like he said, even as like when he was 18, 19, he saw himself being a one club player and playing for Arsenal for his whole career. And it was just like, you know, what we currently have at Arsenal, him, Saka and Martinelli dragged us from the depths. And it's just sad, isn't it, that it's not worked out.
That's the definition of an Arsenal fan. Attachment, emotions.
Yeah.
It's definitely the definition of an Arsenal fan. Everything that we accuse Arsenal fans of, attachment, emotions, you're attached to players. And well, the guy hasn't even played 100 games for you in the first team, did he?
No, not in the end, no.
You're attached to him.
Yep.
Maybe that's why you haven't won the league yet. Maybe you need to get rid of the attachment.
Maybe it is.
That's just a bit
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But we've sold him. So the club clearly is, you know, operating in the right way. But it is sad.
Okay, where do we start? Let's start with the preseason game. Tom has something to say about Arne slot and Mikel Arteta.
I'm just all in. I mean, that was something I wasn't expecting to see. We went in there with probably about 2, maybe 3 starters who are going to be regular next season. And we looked very good. A lot of the problems that we had last year seem to have now somewhat been addressed. We look more solid in defence. The counter-attacks are now back to being direct. There's nice link-up. We build up properly out from the back rather than pumping it long and hoping that we win second balls. It looks like a lot more of a structured build-up type thing. And I'm liking what I'm seeing across both games. And the Arsenal one was a test in the sense of this is a real good opposition. And I thought it's hard to judge preseason friendlies as a whole because, I mean, for the last 20 minutes, it was just which academy's better and no team really wants it. But for that first half, I thought we were the better side. I thought we were creating more. I thought we didn't really look, you know, too rattled apart from fucking Kostas Tsimikas. Yeah, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing, and I think people now need to understand that going from Jurgen Klopp to Arne Slot does not mean that Liverpool go from 3rd to 8th. Arne Slot is a good manager. We still have a very good squad. There's still a lot of the key pieces there. So this downfall that's going to happen where we finish behind everyone in the top 6 and Villa and Newcastle and West Ham and Brighton, it's not going to happen.
All I'm saying is, last preseason, Eric Ten Hag's Tricky Reds beat us 2-0 in preseason when we had actually a better team out than we did against Liverpool. We had Saliba, we had Rice, we had Saka in that game. They beat us 2-0, and they did quite literally go from 3rd to 8th. So
What do you,
Pre-season.
so what's your statement then? What
Well, so my
Liverpool-
statement is it is still very possible that Liverpool, I don't think they will go from 3rd to 8th, but it is very possible that they do. Because United looked good against Arsenal last pre-season, against a stronger Arsenal team, and went from 3rd to 8th.
How did Liverpool build up, Tom? Because I didn't watch it, obviously. What was it? Was it a 3-2, 2-3, 4-2, 2-4? What was the vibe?
It's a weird one because it's hard to say because you're without your entire first choice defense. Basically, because of the players that were available, and I assume it will just like invert, like it'll swap sides basically. But once all the players are back, the left back tucked in to form a back three, but
Right.
he'd occasionally push into midfield, whilst the right back would bomb up high, making like these inverted runs to try and drag a centre back away and hope that, you know, whether it was, I think it was Elliot or Soboslai would try and run into the space that's created there to receive off Salah. But it was the centre backs were on the ball a lot. The DMs were being told that they have to come and actually show for the ball, which is why Wataru Endo probably won't play much this year if he stays, because he can't do that. It's a lot closer to what you and Arsenal have been
something,
playing.
Tom. I was watching this and I saw the footprint and saw how I saw exactly what he said in the press conference. I saw exactly. He said, because we don't have a striker, we're playing with 2 10s and we have the wingers coming inside. So it's clearly you can see what he said. Why do you think Arne Slot has got his message across to the Liverpool team? And we're still talking about Maresca needs time and he is trying things. Why do you think that? Is it because of the age of the squad? But yesterday, you had no Van Dijk, you had no McAllister, you had no Trent, you had no Allison. You only had Salah, basically. Jota, you had no Gakpo there, no Diaz, no Nunes. Why? Why do you think Arne Slot did that? And Maresca still, last game, Lavia looked good. Dewsbury Hall looked good. We saw glimpses of what he can do. But it is so quickly for Liverpool and Arne Slot to get the message across. Okay, listen, this is how we're going to play. We're going to see when we get a striker, but this is how we're going to play. Why do you think that happened?
Part of it's down to the quality of player. When you have, obviously, we've got a weakened squad at the minute, but we've still got a number of very good players in there that they can help you pick up a system quicker and their natural quality will help through. But also, Arne Slot's just a better manager than the likes of a Maresca. There's no debate about that. And the credit and the praise that Slot has had from some of the biggest minds in the game. I mean, I say it, Rory's manager was waxing lyrical about Arne Slot. Like, Arne Slot's got a very good reputation in the sport, and he's been very hands-on so far in training. So it's not a shock to me that we're picking up the system quickly, and that we're starting to, perform well in the system. Because when you have a good manager who can get his ideas across well and understands the quality of players and the strengths of the players by actually analysing the squad, not making a shit ton of signings before he's had a look at the squad, you get a better idea for it. I think we'll go on to have another really solid season, and it'll be another season where you see a lot of the squad being used. That's why I've not been. I know a lot of our fan base have been trying to jump on it and go, "Oh, it's this, it's that." We still have a very good squad. I'm not worried that we haven't made signings yet. Do I want signings 100%? But I'm not worried that we haven't made them yet. I've seen this.
What do you think he can do if he gets signings? And what do you?
If you get with the current squad as it is, I think he can consolidate what we achieved last season, which is top 4 finish
And a trophy, like one of the
and a trophy and a decent Champions League run. If he gets 3, 4 signings, I think you can take that next step and now put yourself in real challenging conversations for the league and make sure that you get further in the Champions League. Like, the quality of squad is there. That's what you got to judge it off, the quality of the squad. And in pre-season, the players clearly aren't struggling with the ideas that he's trying to implement. Therefore, is there necessarily the same need for the honeymoon period of, well, he needs time to adapt and everything? I don't know. So if he gets a DM and he gets Anthony Gordon, for example, and he gets a new left back and he gets a new centre back, if that's what he wants, I don't see why we can't close the gap on City and Arsenal, because you'd have a squad then that is capable of it. You'd have a squad that can go toe to toe with these sides.
What is the word on the street, Ari? FSG's willingness to spend that much money on 3 or 4 players? Is it promising, or is it like more hope rather than expectation? How do you see that? Because again, I don't know.
The only thing we really know is that the business is going to happen this, like, hopefully soonish in this month, but it was always only going to happen this month. There wasn't going to be business done in June or July. They were willing to buy Anthony Gordon for 75 million when Newcastle had PSR concerns, and Joe Gomez would move the other way for like 45 million. I do think there's a willingness to spend money. Is it going to be 200, 300 million? No. But is it going to be enough money to get the signings that are needed through the door with some sales? Yeah, I mean, if you move on, Joe Gomez, you can get 35, 40 for him. If you move on with Tarduendo, you can get 10 million, 15 million for him. There's 60 million to pay for a DM without even having to, delve into the pocket. So I don't see an argument or how they can make an argument where they won't spend money. And I do think we will. I do think that we've handed the reins of power over to a Michael Edwards-Nam who understands how you get success in football. The big thing is always putting football people in charge of football, and we've got one of the most renowned minds running the whole scene now. So I'd expect signings to be made, and I don't expect money to be a real problem in that sense.
If Slot comes in first season and matches what Klopp did last season in his first season in the Premier League with no new signings,
yep,
what does that mean for Klopp's legacy and people that put him in the conversations for top
Klopp's
5 managers in
legacy,
the Premier League of all time?
What it does to Klopp's legacy in the public, I don't really care. Klopp's legacy for Liverpool will always remain what it is. It will be untouched. He is the greatest manager we've had in the Premier League. He will probably remain that for years. It would take something really special to beat him out. At the end of the day, like, people might look at Klopp differently from the outside. It'll never change how I think about him. It'll never change how Liverpool fans think about him. There is a kind of understanding that he was no longer that manager that there was 4 years ago when he was on top of the world. He was still a very good manager, but he wasn't the same manager. That there's an understanding that the change came at the right time. And if Slot goes on to match what he done last season, that just proves that right. In the sense of, we did nail, Klopp knew when it was time to go. We did nail the next appointment. That's all that really matters to me. Not about, will Manchester United fans now think Klopp's a worse manager because Arne Slot came in? If anything, it's not an indictment on Klopp. It's a praise of Slot. Not many managers coming in the first season and are able to bring a successful season like that would be. So I wouldn't look at it as damaging Jurgen Klopp's legacy.
I don't think it has anything to do with Jurgen Klopp's legacy. If the guy goes and wins the Champions League and a Premier League, that is built on the back of Jurgen Klopp team that he built. That is, the difference would have been if Arsenal, for example, under Arteta, went and beat Pep last season. That was more of against Jurgen Klopp. But if Arne Slot comes in and does it, it's based on the team that Jurgen Klopp built. Salah, Trent, Alisson, McAllister, even Szoboszlai, and all these guys. It's not. I think it wouldn't have been, oh yeah, you're better than Jurgen Klopp because you. First of all, the squad is older now with more experience, like McAllister and even Darwin Núñez, and these guys are older now, are more experienced. Kwanzaa is more experienced than last season. It is based on Jurgen Klopp's work. It's not based on anyone's work. That's how I see this.
The situation and the standards that Slot is walking into are down to what Jurgen Klopp has done. And if you compare that to the situation and standards that Jurgen Klopp walked into, it's night and day. It's so different, and that's why for me his legacy will be untouched, because the context of it is important. Arne Slot has taken over a side that is on the cusp of being ready to challenge for the league title. Jurgen Klopp took over a side that was regularly playing Joe Allen, Jordan Henderson, James Milner midfield threes, and
I agree.
Christian Benteke up front. Like
And
it's so
And
far away.
this signing thing, like he needs to be back. This notion, and I want to get the other guy's opinion because I know Tom, you defended this. Oh, we has to wait for the team to assess the team and all the stuff. The season about to start in 2 weeks. He needs time to work with the new signing, especially because one of them might be a starter, right? Two of them actually might be starters. The DM, and if you get a striker, a high caliber striker, he would come in to start. He wouldn't have time to work with these guys. He wouldn't have gone time. Like there is no time. That's exactly like Arsenal need a left midfielder. If Mikel Merino comes 1 day before the season, okay, does he start? No, he'll have to play Havertz as a left mid again. Or if Thomas Partey is fit, it's going to be a Rice, Partey, and Odegaard. But now, if he gets a Mikel Merino now, and if he gets a Calafiori, we'll have 3 weeks to work with Calafiori and 2 weeks to work with Merino. That's enough time at least to get ideas across. This notion that, oh my God, he has to wait to assess the situation. We know that you need a DM. Everyone knows. The neighbors know. The people that don't watch football know that Liverpool need a DM. Husam said it last stream when was Terry. He said, when your actual starting DM comes publicly and say we need a DM, you know that you need a DM. Endo said that he needs a DM, and he's the starting DM.
I can understand people's concern, and I will have an annoyance if the DM that we sign could have been signed a month ago. I will do. If the notion is he went far in an international tournament and he was on holiday and you don't want to mess with that, I can understand that. But if the player we signed has been doing pre-season for a month with another club, I will be a bit annoyed in the sense of they need time to adapt. I think the time is lessened, A, if it's a direct signing from the Premier League, because then the whole idea of they need to adapt to the league goes. And B, if you've got a good manager, that adaptation period can be lessened. And also, in my mind, I mean, I need to double check who our second game is. I know our first game's Ipswich. I think our second game's like a Wolves or something. Those are the type of games where you can afford to bed in new signings because you should be able to get the job done, even if one player is a little bit off the pace, because you are better than those teams. So that even if he hasn't got a pre-season, that there is a chance in itself to get these signings, adapted and ready to go ahead of United on game week 3. So, like I said, I'm not stressed about. I'm not worried about it.
Everyone else says you're not. I know that everyone, all the Liverpool, bro, everyone is worried about signings for Liverpool. Thomas, but let me ask a different question for the guy. Is anyone scared of Liverpool? Do you guys? I know you two, as fans, you count your clubs to challenge for the league. Do you guys count Liverpool as part of the conversation with you?
No.
No, I don't think right now. But to be fair, I also said that before the start of last season, and Liverpool, were at one time, in my opinion, favourites to win it at one stage. So I might be wrong. Again, to be fair, in the end, they did sort of it maybe like their underlying numbers caught up with their numbers. But my logic back then was not unless they sign like a proper class defensive midfielder. And I don't think my opinion has really changed, to be fair, especially if, again, I didn't watch the preseason game. If Tom is now saying that Liverpool are erring more towards how a City plays, for example, or how an Arsenal plays, where the deeper lying midfielders need to be really comfortable receiving the ball back to play, turning, etc., under pressure. That, this is what Rodri does. Kovacic is what Jorginho did for Arsenal as well. I think that's what Timber could do for Arsenal next season as well. Then, in terms of Liverpool's midfield options, I'm only really looking at McAllister, who can maybe do that. And obviously, he's not a defensive midfielder. I don't know if Endo can do it. If Trent inverts to those positions, we all know that that's not really his skill.
Szoboszlai was doing it last game. I think that it would ultimately be you bring in a DM, and then the likes of Bajcetic and Tyler Morton would then be the backups in that position, who are drip-fed games to see if they can develop. That is the DM is the weakness in the squad. I think everyone will admit that.
Yeah, and like even Szoboszlai, if he is able to do that again, do you really want him in those deeper zones? I don't know if you do. So that's why I would, for me, if they sign this class defensive midfielder who can do that, or they sign like a left back who can invert and do that job in a similar way, or a defender who can do that, like Stones or whatever, then I'll change my tune. But right now, I don't know how concerned I am about Liverpool being a genuine title threat. And by that, I mean, taking it to the last 2 or 3 days of the last 2 or 3 games of the season.
Yeah, I would just be shocked if they were in a title race, just purely based on how uncommon it is for a new manager to come in, take over a side, have very few signings. Like we said, there are positions that clearly need improvement. I would just be very surprised if they were in a title race. And I think the one thing that perhaps you need to prove is I thought Arsenal were quite easy to play against in the way that we set up, because we played our normal way, but without the players that are fundamental in playing that way, in terms of not having Saliba at centre-back, but still playing an extremely high line, having Zinchenko one-on-one against Salah with no one helping him out. Like, I thought there were some big errors in the way that we played. And it's not that I think Liverpool will struggle with. I think it will go back to being teams playing a filthy low block against you, how you deal with that. And look, maybe you do.
You deal with that with Harvey Elliott Dink over the top of the...
Well, yeah, but yeah, I mean, any other time, Declan Rice does not allow that situation to happen. But Thomas Partey moves like Casemiro with one leg.
Zinchenko was so bad, by the way. Zinchenko's fucking hilarious.
I spent about 10 minutes on the show yesterday laughing at him.
He's
the
awful.
only guy in the world that was watching Salah. Bro, everyone in the stadium knew that run is coming. Everyone. Yeah. And he was looking at Salah. And Salah is running next to him. He's like, okay,
I don't know what's happened.
Down.
I don't know what's happened. He's got to go. He's got to go.
It's so funny watching. How can you
openly admit? It's crazy.
How can you openly admit in an interview that you're terrified of a still playing opposition player, and then not change anything about your game to try and stop him? He's basically accepted that he's Salah's bitch. And anytime he goes up against Salah, he just lets him on the inside, shows him to his left foot, doesn't close him down.
He invites him into the box, and he doesn't even if he committed one way or the other, even if he committed to like, okay, no matter what, Salah is not going to cut in on his left here. But he doesn't. He almost stands in the perfect position where it's like Salah could go either way of you at this point, and he'll skin you. You're like, he gives him every possible option to get terrorized. It's unbelievable. The only promising thing for us is when it pans to the bench and you've got now Calafiori and Yuri Timber both sat there twiddling their thumbs. So, yeah, Zinchenko's got to go. Thomas Partey I'm worried about as well. He is moving like Casemiro.
But have the legs gone with Partey now?
The legs are so gone.
No, I actually... Bro, I've been told it's not. I've been told it's not. I don't know if he can come back to his best again. I don't know. He looks...
His legs have gone.
As well.
How old is he, sorry?
I've not seen him sprint in over
He's only 30 years old.
Oh,
isn't
right.
he?
I don't care how old he is. His legs have gone.
Fabinho fell off a cliff at 28. Thomas Partey's 31.
No, he's 31. He's 31. He's 31. He's just 31. Turned 31, by the way. He just turned 31 in June. So he's not that old at all. But he plays. He played, to be honest, when I was watching the game, he played like a 40 years old. Like a 40 years, like Casemiro last season, exactly what Rory said.
Yeah. He got dispossessed on around the halfway line, and he watched 3 Liverpool players run away from him towards our goal with the ball and literally stood still. Like, didn't even pretend to jog.
That was when we hit the post, weren't it? So he loses the ball, and then he just watches Szoboszlai pass to Elliott, and then watches Elliott pass to Jota, and just stays standing in a weird position. When
you know what the thing about it is that this guy, I remember 2 seasons ago when he was fit, he was arguably one of the best. Like, he was amazing in the Arsenal team for the first 30 games before he got injured in game week 31, and then it's gone. Him and Saliba and the team was gone. But he was fantastic. He was amazing. How can someone like fall off a cliff like this? It's crazy to me. Because he's so... If you're going to keep the guy, he's so key. Otherwise, maybe Mikel Merino is going to start on that left side, and then it's going to be Declan Rice at the DM.
The injuries catch up on you. I mean, how many injuries has he had? Eventually, he just can't take them. Eventually, he just can't take them.
Yeah, the last muscular injury he had was like kept him out for months. It was a bad one. I think he just completely ripped his hamstring or his quad, whatever it was. But Yeah, I don't expect him to start much at all next season, to be honest. I think it'll be Rice and Merino, with Rice as the 6. But almost more of like a double pivot.
Let me do these couple of super chats. JJ saying, sorry, off topic. Morocco's won versus the USA at the Olympics. Emulating the first team from the World Cup. Get in, you Atlas Lions. Let's go. I hope that Morocco faces Egypt in the final, hopefully, because we actually smacked Spain. Egypt smacked Spain in the Olympics, actually. And we talked to our group. And I never watched the game, by the way. I haven't watched the game in the Olympics.
Sounds good, though.
Just haven't. Yeah, but it's good. It's good. Yeah, big up JJ. Congratulations, Habibi. Hopefully, you'll face Egypt and get spanked in the final. JJ, hopefully. Alvarez to be the next Cancelo. Pepe is fair enough. We'll talk about this Alvarez thing. We'll talk about this Alvarez thing soon. Because now, by the way, it's just reported that he's from Spain, that he's close to joining Atletico Madrid on a lower fee that one Man City offered.
I'd let him.
Like on installments and stuff. It might be another Cancelo problem, to be honest. It's not that complicated. Get a left back or a left center back and a DM for Liverpool. I mean, he's saying yes. And maybe a striker.
My thing is.
By the way, can I before you talk, Tom? This is the new thing. No one from the Liverpool fans now are talking about the forward line. No one's talking. Everyone is saying DM and a left back.
I haven't had to watch Nunes piss me off recently, so until I watch him piss me off, I won't talk about it.
People forgot Nunes and Luis Diaz last season. A lot of Liverpool fans moved on from the forward line to the DM and the left back.
To be fair, in the sense of the first team squad, like a Gakpo, Jota, Salah front three is fine.
It's not great.
I think it's a very good front three.
I think it is great, you know.
Guys, Gakpo though,
that sounds pretty good to me.
Gakpo had a good Euros, but Gakpo for Liverpool now has been there 18 months. He hasn't improved anyone. Like he hasn't put in the performances that we think. Oh yes, this is the Gakpo of the Netherlands.
To be fair, how many times he played on the left, Liverpool? I feel like it's not consistent.
He got like 5 games out on the left at the end of last season, and was
I don't think that's big enough sample size.
Every single game, like the moment he got out into his actual position and stopped playing right wing or striker or centre mid or right mid, he was actually very good, and you could see the quality he has. The last month was when he started to get minutes out on the left, and that last month was when we started to really kick into gear and try and sort of revive that season. The one game he missed in that run was Everton away, where Diaz played, missed a big chance, and we lost 2-0. So I'm a big defender of Gakpo. I think he's got so much natural quality that Diaz doesn't have. Gakpo has actual end ball. He can pass, he can shoot. That kind of thing that Diaz doesn't have. Yeah. When it comes to the left back, centre back thing, though, if you can keep Sepp van den Berg, I don't necessarily think you need to buy a centre back, because I think Van den Berg can cover that, because he was very good in the Bundesliga last year. I think the type of left back we need when you consider that Trent's going to play a lot is different. I think we need an attacking left back, more of the ilk of like a new Robertson basically, but with more technical quality, rather than a centre back who plays at left back.
Bermuda Gunnar saying Tom is excited to be the second level Arsenal team.
I mean, considering we play like the Arsenal team that played was stronger than the Liverpool team that played. All things considered, like if you're going by the starting 11 that played the most for Liverpool last season, I think we had 2 players in it. Yeah, 2.
Line is saying Arsenal 0 trophies in 5 years, but have chest. Okay.
Arsenal. We'll see, I guess. We'll see what happens this season.
4 years.
AMT saying, listen, he had loads of injuries. At whatever age, any player will struggle. He's talking about Thomas Partey, 100%, which is what everyone's talking about. Listen, guys, about 550 people here. We aren't even in 200 likes. The like button is underneath your live chat. Hit that like button, people, underneath. Let's get to at least 300 likes live, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, it is essential. It is important for the channel that you hit the like button. It moves the show, it moves the channel to the next viewer. And if you're new, subscribe. Listen, the like button is essential for us. Moving on from Liverpool to Arsenal and Manchester City. Where do we stand on the Arsenal signings and Manchester City no signings thing? Why aren't Man City signing people?
we aren't signing any, which I don't agree with. I still think we need a Gundogan replacement. I feel like I've said it every week for a year now.
Yeah.
We haven't signed anyone because we will never sign a player for the sake of signing a player. Although saying that, we did sign Mateus Nunes, who seemed to be more of that sort of sign, but maybe I'm wrong there. But the word coming out is that, generally speaking, City won't sign a player for the sake of signing one. They'd rather wait for a quality player rather than focusing on quantity. In terms of bodies, to be fair, I did have a look at the bodies. We're only one short compared to what we had in respect of numbers in the 18-19 season. So it's not like there's a massive deficiency in respect of the quantity of the senior players at City. There's no financial reason why we wouldn't spend. So again, that is the only reason. We were interested in Bruno Guimaraes and his release clause. I believe we still are, but we didn't think the release clause was money for value for money. I don't agree with that, but that's what City decided. So that's the state of play we're in now. We've brought in Savio. Obviously, I think the club is aware that we need to try to target. Sorry,
Kyle Walker, Nubbins. Kyle Walker.
What about him?
You need a replacement for Kyle Walker. He started most of the games last season. Do you think he can go another season with Kyle Walker starting?
I don't think Kyle Walker will be starting next season. I think it will be a Kanji at right back next season. I think the reason why Walker started so much last season is partly because De Bruyne got injured, and it meant that John Stones got injured, which meant that we then had to create our build-up structure in a different way, in a different avenue. Pep commented on how Guardiola wasn't quite ready to do that. Kanji, we saw do it at times, wasn't quite able to do that. So we needed a different way to create the box midfield, and he did that by pushing Walker up to right wing, and then the false winger system took him inside.
What if Stones get injured again, which it happens all the time?
Absolutely, it could. I'm then looking at a player like Rico Lewis, who I know can do that. I'm also hopeful that Guardiola can be coached to do that. After a year with City, learning the system, etc., I think he is good enough to be able to do that. Not overnight, obviously, but I do think that could be a thing. In my head, Walker's not going to be starting nearly as much. I think he's even said as much. But a Kanji at right back, he was our right back when we won the treble. I've seen some people suggest he can't defend out wide. That's insane. Did we watch the treble winning season or nah? That's his strength. So I don't think the Kyle Walker one's an issue, to be honest. Unless he's used as a starter, in which case I'll change my tune. But I'm operating under the assumption that it will be a Kanji as our main right back. Or Rico Lewis or whoever, not Kyle Walker, basically. I'd like to see Bruno Guimaraes brought in, or a player of his quality and profile. That remains to be seen if that can happen. Otherwise, we are relying on Kovacic to be able to do that role, maybe Nunes to do that role, maybe an academy player / Rico Lewis to do that role. I think we need to do that signing, or I don't think we'll win the title, to be frank, but we'll see.
If you stay the same, do you think Arsenal are favourites? Oh, go ahead, Rory. Sorry, apologies.
No, it's all good. I was just going to say, I don't understand the Bruno G thing. Like, why you haven't done Bruno G? Because I get maybe you don't think he's worth 100 million, you think he's worth 80 million, but you've got such a massive sort of safety buffer with PSR that, yeah, okay, maybe you don't sign players for the sake of signing players, but there is a very legitimate sake for buying a Bruno G. And I'm like, you've got such a safety buffer. If you're not going to spend the money anyway, PSR is only in a 3-year cycle. It just almost feels like, that extra bit of money wouldn't harm you in any way.
And I'm with you. I agree. I think don't mess around. Just activate the release clause. Don't give Newcastle any wiggle room, because Newcastle don't want to sell him. They don't have to sell him without a release clause. So I'm with you. I don't agree with City's approach, but it is indicative of City's approach over the past, I don't know how long, certainly every single year that Pep's been there, basically. There's so many examples where there's a player who we're really interested in, who Pep is desperate to get, but then we don't, because the team, the club they belong to is asking for, 10, 15, 20 million more than what we're willing to spend. And as a fan, it's frustrating, but from a business perspective, and that's how they'll be looking at it as well as a footballing one, it's almost like the opposite of what Man United have historically done. This is why United tax exists, because we all know that historically over the last 10 years, you can always squeeze a little bit more out of United. This is why they end up paying so much money for certain players. City are sort of, or try to position themselves in an opposite space. Again, it's frustrating, but I can't complain too much because it has worked, obviously, over the past however many years. But yeah, as a fan, it's frustrating. And again, for me, we do need to sign that player. It doesn't have to be Bruno, but it does have to be someone of his profile and of his quality. Otherwise, I'll repeat, I don't think that City will win the league. I don't think we can do 2 seasons in a row of that.
So you think Arsenal are favourites if they get all these signings done?
If City do not bring in the player who I think they need, then yes.
Why do you need to bring that player in? We have all watched Calvin Phillips is fantastic on the ball. Played during this pre-season. You know, where he stops, doesn't pass, then stops, doesn't pass, then stops, doesn't pass. I did good possession control.
I didn't watch the game because I don't have an interest in preseason personally, but I was told that he apparently played well against Barcelona, but he was playing as a centre-back. So that just tells me that he's
what
even more
is it
finished.
with Pep Guardiola and centre-backs? He would play a team of centre-backs if he could.
To be fair, it does suit Phillips because he's not able to take the ball under pressure like Rodri. He's the exact opposite of that. So facing play in a deeper position probably does suit him. But again, he's never going to play for City at centre back when we have Akanji, Diaz, Stones, Gvardiol, Ake, etc. The Phillips. I don't
Did you see Ederson last game against Barcelona?
I don't watch preseason.
He literally I think he let the ball go in the second goal when he was trying to like dive for it. Ederson wants to leave. City and holding the guy at ransom. They're holding the guy hostage.
Oh, thanks. But again, I think that this is Al Attihad or whatever they're called. They are offering like 40 million euros. We want 50 million euros. And that's reasonable. If they're not going to pay it, they're not going to pay it. And I hope he stays. I love Ederson.
The Alvarez situation.
Pardon?
It's becoming a Cancelo situation where his manager spoke. He spoke again and said, I didn't say anything.
What's becoming a Cancelo situation? Sorry.
A Cancelo situation. It is becoming a Cancelo situation.
Oh, so yeah, I missed that first bit. Okay. I haven't seen the full quotes, to be fair.
Will you sell to Liverpool this window?
No.
But Klopp's not here now.
Chill.
Can we have our Arsenal window where we buy off you?
We'll sell Zinchenko. We'll sell Gabriel Jesus. We're not going to sell Julian Alvarez to another English club. That is not. I'm sorry. That's not.
Do you think Julian Alvarez is better than Gabriel Jesus?
In terms of strikers and in terms of what they were at City in his final season,
as
absolutely.
A player, you can say a striker, false nine, whatever. You think he's a better player than Gabriel Jesus? You think he gave your club more?
I'd back Alvarez to lead the team to a title more than I'd back Jesus.
As a striker,
you think Julian Alvarez can lead the team for a title?
But I don't think Jesus is a striker, to be fair. So I don't think it's a fair comparison. I think Jesus is a winger. So I personally think it's a fair comparison. So if you want to say it's like a utility player, I'd back Jesus. But if you're asking me who would I rather at 9, I'd rather Alvarez there. There's no world in which we sell to an Arsenal or certainly at Liverpool either. Again, I don't want to misquote Alvarez. I believe what he said is, I would like to play more minutes as a striker in the biggest games. I believe that's what he said. If he said that, I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to say because he's too good to be a backup player, to be honest. And if he wants to leave, then he must leave because he's older than Haaland. He's nowhere near as good as Haaland. He's never going to play ahead of Haaland. It's not going to happen. So if he's not happy with midfield minutes, if he's not happy with winger minutes, and I'm not happy with midfield minutes either because he's not a midfielder.
I was going to say, it's the matter if he's happy or not.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the least biggest fan of midfield Alvarez. Striker Alvarez, I'm a big fan of. And if he wants to go, then he must go. And good luck to him because he's a fantastic striker. Genuinely, I like him as a player, but as a midfielder, massive liability, and that's not his fault.
I actually think that.
Can I say one more thing? Sorry, Mo.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, if we do end up selling Alvarez, I don't think it's going to be this. It seems inevitable he's going to leave because I'm sure we can all agree he's too good to be a second choice striker. Like he's good enough to start for a Champions League side. But I think we can hopefully all agree on that. If he does leave either this window or next, might be more likely. I think what City should look to do is in a similar way to how I don't think that we should be signing an outright Rodri backup in a 6. I've said many times how signing Phillips was a mistake because if you sign a pure 6, they're never going to play because Rodri's there. If you sign a pure 9, they're never going to play because Haaland was there. That's why Jesus didn't really play as a 9 that much because Aguero was there ultimately. That's why he left because he wanted more game time. That's why Alvarez now wants to leave. So in a similar manner to City need to sign an 8-6 hybrid as this 6 cover. City, I think...
Bruno Guimaraes, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of signing a new 9, City should sign, and that rhymes, a player who can do multiple jobs, i.e., they're probably more like an 8/10 who can play as a 9.
Kai Havertz.
Sure, yeah, why not? So, someone who can do that job.
So Arsenal last window signed the 2 players that City wants Declan Rice, a 6 and an 8, and Kai Havertz, a 10 and a striker.
In terms of profiles, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Quality-wise, it's different question.
Oh yeah, sure. In terms of the type of play, lots of people said Danny Al, and this is why, because I know Almo's now going to Barca, but we were linked with Almo for a period. I didn't really understand it at first, but then the whole Alvarez leaving rumors came out. I was like, that sort of makes sense because he can play a bit
perfectly.
Yeah, he can play as a 9, false 9, 8, 10, whatever. So that I think is a sort of player that we'd need to maybe get a utility player who again, who has the quality to still start when Haaland starts and not be a liability in midfield or out wide. That's what I think City could go for. And that would work. Then he'd get the minutes he wants and Haaland can still play as a 9. Because again, no one is going to dislodge Haaland, like obviously. So
yeah, but the thing about it that this quality exists, but for money. And City don't value some players with the money that their club is asking for. Like Bruno Guimaraes, for example. He fits for 6, 8. He can fit that position, but he's valued at 100 million.
And I value him at that as well, by the way.
And I don't think City actually values Dani Olmo with that price as well, 60 million euros. I don't think so. Otherwise, he would have been all over this deal because he fits that system perfectly. He can play right wing, left wing, number 8. He played for Spain, 10, everywhere. But you don't value him.
Yeah, but also, to be fair, I think that, again, I wouldn't understand the signing unless we sold someone, i.e. Alvarez. If we sold Alvarez, then I'd understand it. If we brought in Olmo now and didn't sell anyone, I'd be very confused. I'd be like, well, where's he going to play? He's not going to play ahead of Foden or De Bruyne or Haaland. It just seems a bit of a weird one. If we sold someone, though, then it would make sense.
For Arsenal, though, Rory, this new thing going around that Arsenal shouldn't be this, that Rice shouldn't be the 6 for Arsenal. New thing. That should be the 8.
Yeah.
I can see that as well. I think if you could get a top class 6, it would work better. But I don't think this top.
What do you mean top class 6? The guy won man of the match is playing the 6, carrying Havertz and a below bar Odegaard for half a season.
Because
kept Arsenal within touching distance.
Right. Even though Declan Rice can do a very good job as a 6, I think you get the most complete version of him as an 8 because he gets to showcase his physical qualities a lot more, his box-to-box qualities, his actual final third qualities. I think he's one of the best box-to-box midfielders there, but he can also do a very good job as a 6. If you could buy a top-class 6 and have Declan Rice in the 8, I think a top 6, Declan Rice,
a top-class 6?
But that's my point, Mo. There isn't one on the market, so I understand why it's there.
No, forget the market. Forget the market. I want a name.
Rice.
Forget the market. I don't. Hold on. Because I want to understand what Tom means by a top class 6. Is it the types of a Pirlo, or is it the type of Makaleli, or what type of a 6 you are saying is the top quality 6? You mean?
I'd say he was a top class 6
or a Rodri.
Rice.
Yeah, if you had a if you had a Kante or Makaleli type, obviously they are generational type players. But if you had a DM of that ilk who can cover so much ground, basically, if you had the Thomas Partey that was at Atletico Madrid before he came to Arsenal and decided to get injured all the time, I think Declan Rice could then play as the 8 and you'd have a really good midfield dynamic. Same with if Kante was all of a sudden 24 again. That type of DM, I think, is the one that would click everything in place for Arsenal, but he doesn't exist. So I understand why Rice has to play at the 6.
Yeah, no, and I hear that, but equally, I think if you went and got a world-class 8 and then had Rice as the 6, you'd also have an unbelievable pairing there. Like, I don't think it's
It
just
is, but I do think you're just slightly limiting Rice.
Possibly.
That's just how
What
I
do you
look at
mean?
him. I
Rice is
think,
amazing defensively. He's fantastic.
okay, I'm not saying you can still be amazing defensively.
What's
As
Rice's
an
main
eight.
attribute
So
for you, Tom? Sorry,
Rice's main attribute for me, I'd
Yeah, as a
probably
football player.
go his engine really, and it goes engine and then
Transition
defensive and then
defending.
yeah, but you can do that as an
you,
8.
Nobbins.
But even just because that's his best attribute doesn't mean that all the others are infinitely worse. I think.
No,
that his
I'm not saying
overall
they're bad.
package-
He's good in carrying the ball. We know that.
he can still do
he's
that
good in-
transition defending as an 8, because I'm going off the basis that Arsenal are going to try and move into somewhat of a pivot type in build up now, where they have 2 dropping in. Therefore, and then
This is the
Odegaard sort
thing.
of gets the free role. Rice
This is
can
the
then
thing.
just be that all action midfielder.
This is the thing. When most people saw Rice as a 6 at Arsenal, it was the first half of the season where he was playing with Havertz or Trossard or Vieira, someone like that, alongside him on the left. The issue with that was that he had to do such an insane amount of work defensively and cover so much area defensively. It didn't allow him really to go forward at all. I think bringing in someone like Merino, we saw it at times in big games where Jorginho and Rice played. And Jorginho, in theory, was the 8. But quite often, Rice would initiate an aggressive press and Jorginho would sit in for him. And I think that's what we'll see with Merino. Like, Merino won more duels last year than any player in Europe. I think he'll do so much more of that work that it will allow Rice to get forward as well. But equally, Merino himself is much more of a threat, an attacking threat than we've had. So, yeah, I think it'll be closer to a pivot, but it will still allow Rice to do all of the work that he does as a 6, that he is one of the best in the world at, whilst also freeing him up still to move forward. So I think that's
what
why.
Would you say, Rory, about the people that are doubting Mikel Moreno? That he's not the one as Ubamendi or the one someone else? What would you say to these people?
There's one stat that people pull up, because there is literally only one stat that Merino isn't, at least at a minimum, very good at, and that's his pass accuracy. But if you watch him play, it's because he just tries the risky passes a lot of the time. And I have no issue with that, because it's something that a lot of Arsenal fans complained about last season, was that Rice passes it sideways and backwards, that we didn't have that player trying to break through the lines and make that kind of pass. So if that's the only issue you've got with him, I don't think that's a problem whatsoever. And I think he'll be a massive, massive boost to Gabriel Martinelli down the left-hand side. So, yeah, people look at age as well.
Key passes and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the other thing is age. Oh, he's 28 years old. Oh, where's the resale value? Yeah, you're buying him for 30 million euros. You don't need resale value. Like, you
won't care about resale value if you win a league.
If you win the league, who cares? Man City are willing to let everyone go on a free if you win the league. And the
win the league once, and he's paid himself off anyway. And outside of that, you get, let's say you have him till he's 33, right? Because I think he only just recently turned 28. You have a player like that till he's 33 on a 5-year contract. You get 5 years at kind of his physical prime, you'd hope. And then that's costing you like 6 million euros a year. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. And also, it's such a low fee, it doesn't stop you then going out and getting that next elite midfielder for the longer term. Like, it's a no-brainer signing for me. And I think it's the sort of thing that the only people complaining about this signing are the sort of people that would just complain about
I think people lately just want to complain.
Yeah, literally.
Bro, Arsenal went and got Calafiori. Arsenal negotiating with Eucharist. Arsenal, literally, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid pulled out of the race, and Arsenal are favorites to sign a left midfielder, which everybody wants. And everybody watched the guy at the Euros. And some people watched him in the Champions League for Real Sociedad. He looked good. They just want to complain. They really just want to complain. And I'm like, bro, this is the signing. And it's cheap as well. Arsenal aren't going spending 100 million on a player. 30 million, 25 million pounds for someone. Bro, this is going to be... I think actually that moves Arsenal. For me, if Man City don't do business, and I stated that, I think, yes, they still have Pep Guardiola. I'm not ruling them out. I just think Arsenal now are favorites to win the league. They
I
are
agree.
one step ahead of Manchester City because they're adding the depth. And also, there is other things that people don't see. Have people watched Gabriel Jesus lately in the preseason? The guy looks so lively. That's another weapon. I'm not saying he's going to be the striker, but he literally can play right wing, left wing. He's so essential in the build-up, the play for Arsenal. That's another weapon that can be used as well. Gabriel Martinelli. Look at the fire. He wants to prove people wrong again. It's there. Timber is back. Really versatile player in the back four. I think Arsenal are in a good place. They need a forward player, especially if they sell Eddie Nketiah. That forward player should be just a different profile than the Eddie Nketiah. Maybe, I don't know if it's going to be Eucharist. There is news today that you're not signing Eucharist for some reason. But listen, Arsenal are in good place. I think people just want to complain about things. And I said that. Yeah, and it's crazy. That oh my god, Calafiori, he's not proven. He literally was one of the best defenders in Italy in a team that never made Champions League and made them top four, and they made top four. What else do you want? Like, we should have signed this guy. We should have signed that guy.
The thing is,
He's a proven mid defender.
When you're competing at the top level for the top honors, everyone focuses on the minute details that can be, is it a point there? Is it a point there? Like, Arsenal's have the key thing with Arsenal is you've got to keep the core together because they're so young. They need to develop together. You don't just buy a 22-year-old and then go, right, it's done. This is what we get. Saliba's very good at the age he is. He's also got how many years to grow. Same with Saka, same with Martinelli. There isn't a need to start buying 3 players every window to replace them. Arsenal will love it if they can get to a point where their squad is so good they don't need to sign anyone. Like, if you can get to a window where your squad doesn't need any additions, then you're loving life. Arsenal don't need many now. Same with City. So, like, these people going on about how, we need to spend more money, we need to do this, we need to do that. No. You trust in the squad. That's what you've got to do.
That's the thing. This summer was more about bringing up the floor of the squad than raising the ceiling. Like, the ceiling, Arsenal at their best last season. Exactly.
So go much higher.
Exactly. And if you look at what we've done, I mean, Timber, okay, we signed him last summer, but realistically, it's like a new signing, even though I hate that phrase. So Calafiori's come in, and he's arguably ended up replacing Tomiyasu or Zinchenko in the squad, both of whom were injury-prone players, and that cost us last season and the season before. And Merino, effectively in the squad, is going to be replacing Mohamed El Neni. Like, that's now, in reality, I think he'll probably start, and it means that Jorginho becomes the El Neni. But that's the difference. You're going from El Neni to Jorginho as your kind of 4th choice midfielder. Like, they're the sorts of upgrades that we needed and will allow us hopefully to rotate more. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. I do still think we need a player in the forward line, just another body. I actually think that some sort of capable backup to Bukayo Saka is more important than a number 9, but we'll see.
Gabriel Jesus is going to be that guy.
Maybe, but I mean, I looked at it, for example, the Liverpool game. We played Reece Nelson there in the first half, Fabio Vieira there in the second half. Both of them are a massive drop-off from Saka, to the point where if Saka got injured for even a month when we're playing 2 games a week, that 8-game period, you can lose the entire season. And so, yes, it could be Jesus, but I feel like that's the important position. Because the other thing is the lack of pace that we've got in the squad if we lose Reece Nelson.
But to be honest with you, Rory, I don't count Reece Nelson and Fabio Vieira as part of Arsenal team.
But they are. Because without them, you can't rotate Saka. And that becomes a problem.
And that's why I'm saying Arsenal need a forward. And Gabriel, you literally need to go to the season, in my opinion, with Jesus, Saka, Havertz, and 1 extra player, Martinelli and Trossard. That's your 6 forward players. Not Reece Nelson, not Fabio Vieira. I know that Arteta wants to get Fabio Vieira a chance. I don't think he's up for it. I don't think he should be counted. But I know he earns wages and he needs to play.
Yeah, I think he's actually done. I think all pre-season we've only seen him play off the right-hand side. He's not played in midfield because all of those minutes have gone to Nwaneri. And I think Nwaneri's better than Fabio Vieira, and he's 17 years old. So for me, if Fabio Vieira's only option is being cover on the right wing, and he's just not physically a winger in the way that Arsenal need it to be, yeah, I don't see him having a future at the club. But
Yeah, he needs to go. There is, oh, okay. There is Gummy Bear saying super sticker. Thank you so much for sending a super sticker. Appreciate you so much. Aya here is saying, Tom, Rice's strengths aren't being wasted. Player positions aren't static anymore. There are games stats where his role changes to 8 from 6 and vice versa. Plus, Merino is the perfect for that switch.
That's fine. I have no UEFA B, UEFA A coaching qualification. I don't like to look at footballers, you know, player states and this, that, and the other. I look at Rice and I go, if we're on about where he changed from an 8 to a 6, he should be the 8 more often than the 6, in my opinion, because I think that's how you get the best out of him.
Now, he won more man of the matches as a 6, which doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't mean again, I never say he's a bad 6. I just think he's a better 8. He's still a very good 6, but I think you see more of his game when he's in the 8.
I think it's the other way around. I think it's
I also think
it's opinions different. Yeah, I think it's the other way. I think it's better 6 than an 8. Yeah, he proved to us that he can play the 8, but I think he's the better 6. Yeah, he was. Opinions differ. Opinions differ. If Arsenal finish 3rd this year, is Arteta history?
They're not finishing 3rd. They're finishing top 2.
Hypothetically, type.
I mean, if Arsenal did finish outside the top 2, serious questions would need to be asked.
Yeah, but it won't happen, will it?
That's not going to happen. So
yeah,
you need more context. What if we finish 3rd and win the Champions League?
That's not happening either.
Oh my god, bro! If you finish outside of the top 4 and you win the Champions League, Arteta keeps his job. Come on.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You need more context. What if we finish 3rd, but like
if he wins, bro? If he wins the Champions League, you knock down Arsene Wenger's statue and you put Arteta statue there.
I mean,
I'd
just put an Arteta statue next to him instead of knocking down the Wenger one. I think that would be sacrilege. But
if Arteta wins the Champions League and you have one choice, Arsene Wenger statue or Arteta statue?
What the hell kind of a hypothetical is that? I'd keep the Wenger one. All
right. Calafiore around, it might make Jorginho better. Just move on from Jorginho, guys.
Why don't you like Jorginho?
Say that again.
Why don't you like Jorginho?
What is Jorginho good at?
Passing.
Was he? Sorry. What does he excel at? Okay,
being a metronome.
Back again. What does Rodri excel at, Tom?
Rodri excels at a lot of things.
Everything.
Because I need to set a benchmark so you see where I'm going.
No. Because the benchmark can't be the best in class.
Okay. What does Pirlo excel at? What did Pirlo excel at?
Again, you've now went best in class. We've just went best in class again. The benchmark has to be a lower mark, and then you can excel beyond.
Mo,
what
I
does
just
Fabinho excel at?
No, because Mo, I just said if Merino comes in, Jorginho effectively becomes our El Neni in the squad.
I agree with you.
Right, so he doesn't need to be Fabinho or Kante or Pirlo or Rodri. He just needs to be Jorginho.
I just wonder why you don't like Jorginho. That was my question. Why don't you like Jorginho?
There are reasons why I don't like Jorginho. I think he gives hospital passes to teammates to get out of situations when he gets stuck by being pressed.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that many times with Italy and with Arsenal and with Chelsea. Mm-hmm. He had a couple of good seasons. He had a good season at Napoli and a couple of good seasons at Chelsea. He isn't elite in passing like Pirlo, and he isn't good defensively like other players, and he's too slow. Even if we consider Rodri as a slow player defensively, Rodri is very smart in where he positions himself. But Rodri's main attribute isn't transition stopping or interceptions or tackles like a Rice, for example. But Rodri has other elite aspects in the game, which is he reads the game very well. He can literally dictate the tempo of the team. Now he added other things to his locker, which is assists and goals going forward from the 6th position, which is something that we haven't seen for a while. He's elite on the ball, Rodri, in terms of like getting the ball turning under pressure and getting out of places and passing forward. I'm just looking at Jorginho, and I think what Jorginho does is just he moves around, creates angles for his teammates, but he isn't that effective. And every time he does a pass, people say, "Oh, we told you so." Yeah, that's one pass. He's a professional football player. He's expected to do some of these passes. I think Jorginho is one of the most overrated midfielders that the Premier League has seen. Because even in the Ballon d'Or thing, I like he's so overrated. He was just there because he was with Italy. He won the Euro. They had Barella and Verratti, both were better than him, in my opinion. That is what, by the way, that's honestly why I don't like Jorginho. You asked me why.
My
this is
thing
why
with
I
that
don't like
is, though,
Jorginho.
is I can understand the points, but to say that he doesn't have a positive impact on teams, I think there's too much evidence to suggest otherwise. Last year, when he came into the Arsenal side, Arsenal looked. I think that was probably the best Arsenal played, and because he freed up certain players and he added something. Chelsea's best moments came when he was an integral part of that side in recent years, anyway. Napoli had their best season in the 21st century, I think.
Lobotka is better than him, for example. Lobotka is a better player than him in the DM.
But
and they are very similar in terms of like both of them are physically very strong.
Probably in terms of as
you
an
get my
individual
point
player.
why I don't. By the way, can I just establish something before you continue, Tom? Me saying I don't like Jorginho doesn't mean I think he's a bad player. I just think he's overrated. What I mean by this is that I think he's rated higher than he actually is. That doesn't mean he's a terrible player.
How highly do you think people rate? If I'm sat here saying I think he's, if Merino comes in the fourth choice midfielder,
not you. But I've had a lot of people tell me that, oh my God, you're disrespecting Jorginho is amazing midfielder. He's one of the world class. He's fantastic. He was amazing at his peak and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, he's just overrated. He's a good midfielder, but that's about it.
I don't think it's a coincidence. The last season, City at home, where we beat City at home, Jorginho started in the midfield. Liverpool at home, when we beat Liverpool at home, Jorginho started in the midfield. Away at the Etihad, when we drew 0-0, Jorginho started in the midfield. I don't think it's coincidence.
That's kind of my point. Like, you can't say Jorginho's not influential, and when you look at these teams that he's played in, their biggest performances and their best achievements came when he was an influential part of that side, and he was doing what he does. Is he an eye-catching player? No, but he's clearly an influential player because when you take him out, the teams get worse.
I disagree with one. There are better players because they don't have a better player than him, but I don't think he's that amazing at all.
No, but it's a case of like I'm going to use Liverpool here, but it's not. I'm not comparing the players. Jordan Henderson was never Liverpool's best player, but for about 4 years, if you took Jordan Henderson out the Liverpool team, we looked worse. That's what I'm getting at here. Just because a player isn't the best player in the team, he can still be influential in terms of how the team performs and helping them get.
But his position is so essential to the team, Tom. And I don't know why we got dragged into the Jorginho because Super Chat. Rory literally said he's going to be the nanny. So we move on from Jorginho's argument. He's not great anyway.
Just on that Super Chat, I actually think that Calafiori coming in improves Rice more so than anyone. Because I think that, just going back to the whole Rice 6-8 conversation, I think that Arsenal's, back five players, when they have settled possession, would turn into, I'm envisioning a 3-2 of the back three being, Gabriel, Saliba, White, and then ahead of them, Calafiori and Rice. Now, I think that might be one of the best rest defenses in the world. Maybe the best. And I haven't watched much of Calafiori outside the Euros, but I've been told he plays a lot like John Stones in terms of like when he goes into the midfield, and that's exactly what Rice needs. He needs a partner who will be able to do what, in terms of, we've mentioned this before, receiving the ball with back to play, etc., operating under pressure. Stones can do that. Apparently, Calafiori can do that. That to me seems like a partnership made in heaven. To be honest, that's why again I think that we'd see I think Rice might even go up a level next season, if that's the in possession midfield a defensive duo. That seems like a very naughty midfield pairing.
Eddie Jr. is saying, guys, we forgot City had a big issue with their core players are injured majority of last season and still won the league. When they returned in 2024, they had one loss. So did Arsenal. Arsenal had one loss, and Arsenal having Timber, and they so Arsenal. And Arsenal added players and had some injuries back. So why not?
Who was that lost to? I can't remember now. Who did they lose to?
Kevin De Bruyne was out the whole season until the last 18 games. And John Stones only came back like for 10 games or 15 games, if I'm not mistaken, Nobbins.
When they were
Ake was injured for a long time.
we didn't lose in the
gonna
league
say.
in 2024. We lost in the FA Cup final, but we didn't lose in the league in 2024.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't you went from like the middle of? You basically went from when you went onto the bloody Club World Cup until the end
Like
of
their last loss in the league was Villa in like December 8th.
Yeah. The flip side of it is, I think I will stick with my guns that City won't win the league if we don't sign the player who I think we need to sign. But on the other hand, there is the argument of last season City were poor for our standards. I'd give us I think we were like a 7 out of 10. That's from a both tactical Pep perspective and also just a performance perspective. We've spoken so much about the Kyle Walker issues, the Julian Alvarez issues, Haaland's finishing issues, De Bruyne being out for half the season, Grealish being out for the majority of the season, it felt like, Stones being out for the majority of the season, it felt like. So if I am looking at the more hope side of things, which I'm not necessarily on, but I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of those people, then there is an argument to be had that it's unlikely that Haaland will have a bad finishing season because he's not had that. That's the only time it's ever happened. It's unlikely that, Stones and Grealish will be injured as much as they were, and De Bruyne will be injured for, half the season, etc. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if I fall into that camp, but I can see why people would think that.
Yep. Guys, hit that like button, guys. We're almost at 300 likes, and we got about 650 people here. So, guys, hit that like button. If El Neni and Jorginho is on the bench, who comes on?
Hasn't El Neni left?
Yeah, well, El Neni's not at the club anymore, and it would be Jorginho, even if he was.
It would be Jorginho. D Brown is asking me, Mo, you said Gyökeres is a no-go to Arsenal. Who's your source? I didn't say it's no-go. I said there are a lot of articles now saying that for Gyökeres deal, it has to be done at a way higher price than Liverpool, £50 million valuation for the player. So there is no agreement between the club. Sorry, Arsenal valuation of the player. So D Brown, this is what I read, and just there's a lot of people that are talking about this. I never said there's a credible source. Fabrizio didn't come out and said, "Oh, Gyökeres deal is off," but it has calmed down after the first bid of 50 million because I think Sporting Lisbon didn't accept it. Am I wrong, Rory? Is that what you?
I don't think we've bid for him. There might have been conversation.
There was a formal talk conversation.
I think he's going to go somewhere by the end of the window. I do think he's going to go somewhere for less than what Sporting want, which is why they've just negotiated they've negotiated down the sell-on clause that they owe Coventry City from 15% to 10%, and then they announced that they had done that. So to me, that suggests that they're preparing the Sporting fan base for selling him for cheaper than they had originally.
The 84 million.
Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that they're a selling club, and realistically, they've got a guy who's approaching his peak, had an unbelievable season that he will probably struggle to replicate. His price isn't going to go up further than it is now, even if he has another good season. I don't think. So, I think they'll sell him.
I have heard Liverpool are getting Morton. I have no idea who's that. Who's that?
Genoa midfielder.
The Genoa midfielder. Friend up. And Kubo. And some unknown centre back. Liverpool is willing to offer Trent contract, but Salah leave for free.
Yeah.
Really?
No. I don't believe any of that. I'll be very real. I don't believe any of that. Kubo is not going to be a Liverpool player this window. Morton Friend up is already being sort of quashed by our journos.
Can I ask you something about this? But thank you, Sam, for the super chat. Can I ask you something? The last question before we end the show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Harvey Elliott will start this season, like the season, his breakout season when he started and then he broke his foot? I'm really intrigued about Harvey Elliott because I think people underestimate how good he was before he broke his foot.
Harvey Elliott's fantastic. Harvey Elliott is an absolutely brilliant footballer, and he's still so young, and there's still so much potential that hasn't been tapped into yet. I I think Harvey Elliott starting this season will depend on if we sign a DM or not. If we don't have a DM by Ipswich, then I reckon it'll be McAllister and Soberslide together with Elliott in front. Elliott will still start a lot of games next year. He's versatile as well. He can play off the right if he needs to rest Salah, for example. Do I think that this is 100% the breakout season? I think it could end up being it, but I don't think he'll start the season in the same way. I don't think he'll be a guaranteed starter to start the season if we have a DM. I think it will be McAllister, new DM, Soberslide. But if Elliott performs well, I have no doubt that he can make that spot his own. Because I think people are now starting to finally realise after a couple of years that Harvey Elliott is actually a very good footballer. So
he's amazing. I remember before he got injured, he was great. He was great. Listen,
I can't get enough of Harvey. Him and Quansah, like this is why I'm actually glad that we have a clear pathway from our academy to our first team, because it gives you players like this who you don't. Now, how much would it cost to buy Harvey Elliott now on the market? We're saying
Harvey
50
Elliott now on the market.
Yeah. How much would you have to pay to buy a player like Harvey Elliott?
35.
Yeah.
So you're telling me Harvey Elliott? You tell me Harvey Elliott would be the same price as Smith Rowe?
Because he hasn't played.
I literally thought.
Emil Smith Rowe went for 27 million, bro. So Harvey Elliott 35, 40 million.
No way.
Yes, yes. There's no way here. Yes,
I think you're looking at 55 to 60 for him. Genuinely.
Okay, but then look at the players that you're comparing him to at that price range.
Eze.
Yeah, I think
Ulisse went for the same price, and he's kind of similar. Left-footed, comes off the right.
Ulisse's was a release clause. So a release clause and transfer fees are different. I'd say Harvey Elliott.
They literally negotiated less than the release clause by Munich.
I'd sit there and say that Harvey Elliott is around a similar level to Eze. Genuinely.
By the way, I'm not doubting his ability. I think you're misunderstanding. I think you're misunderstanding. Yeah, I checked the tweet. Like, Chelsea tell Conor Gallagher, this is a disgrace. They told Conor Gallagher to train away from the team. This is a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. That's TalkSport said that.
It's so funny if you stayed quiet.
No, it's not only them. No, I went down now.
Chelsea fans spent thousands on a banner for Conor Gallagher and he's gone.
Chelsea have banished Conor Gallagher from the first team squad. They have informed the midfielder that he would not be training with the first team when the squad returns from the USA. This is a disgrace. Proper Chelsea through and through.
So first it was Trevor Chalobah. Now it's Conor Gallagher. What other academy players are just going to get fucked off? Ian Matson never even got a chance. He was just chucked away first possible opportunity.
I think this is another sad consequence of the current
regime,
way in which PSR. Well, I was going to say obviously the regime, but also I was going to say why they're doing it. It's a symptom of a wider issue of clubs are now almost being forced to view academy players as pure profit assets. There's no incentive to.
Do you reckon Atletico will buy the banner that the Chelsea fans paid a lot of money for? Do you reckon that comes as part of the package deal?
It's it's upsetting that academy players just being viewed as that, to be honest. Because again, Chelsea are looking at him as a pure profit accounting asset, not as a academy player who maybe they can make something work out with. It's a shame.
The real power play for Gallagher here would just be to not go and then leave on a free at the end of the season.
He doesn't have to be fair. It's like, well,
By the way, he's going to make a big chunk of money on a bonus next season. A lot of teams will. He's 24 years old.
Yeah,
a lot of teams will sign the guy for free.
That'd be the real power play, to just sort of go, you don't want me, fuck you. I'm not giving you any money. I'm just going to stay here. You've got to pay me the whole time. I'll train with the academy kids. It don't matter to me. I'll wait it out. That's actually shocked me. That's actually shocked. Because now they definitely have to buy a midfielder. Like
they will. They were going to buy a midfielder.
So who?
I don't know. City. The last super chat of the show. City loss was the FA Cup final. Arsenal lost 3 games in 2024. Pep will also use O'Reilly and Oscar Bob this upcoming season. Walker needs to be dropped from the first team.
He does, and hopefully he will, and hopefully be a Kanji there. Yeah, Oscar Bob will see more minutes. He's a great player. Don't know enough about O'Reilly. Be very surprised if you've got significant game time. Alone probably seems more likely, but we'll see.
Yeah, thank you, Eddie, for this. Guys, before we go, we still can like the video. And also, Rory is going to go live 6:30 UK time. Rory
Actually,
is going to go live
6 p.m. today. We're half an hour early, so it'll be 6 p.m.
6 p.m. today. His channel is in the description. You can go and check him out. He's on the way to 20K. The channel is growing massively. He's getting a lot of views. He's doing great shows. I'm sometimes in the chat watching him and enjoying his shows. Of course, Nobbins, his channel is in the description as well. Anything coming up, Nobbins, for the people in the chat, please?
Well, yesterday I did an hour-long stream where we talked about Man City's tactics and how we'll set up. I use my touchscreen Monday Night Football style. So if you like analysis, that might be the video for you. Also, go watch my Savio analysis video because it's 10 minutes long and it's a brilliant video.
Yeah, we actually, yes. If someone from the mods can actually put Nobbins' video in the chat, I think that would be great, actually, guys. And Tom Little, he does some videos sometimes. You'll catch him on HUSAM, probably.
I mean, if my football club could do anything interesting at any point, whether it is a signing or a sale, because we've actually done neither at this point, then you'll get some more videos out of me. Right now, what do you want me to talk about?
We'll see you guys soon. Thank you, everyone that watched us. Make sure to like the video before you go. And we are out of here, people.